There was a rumor a while ago that Elon Musk challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a cage fight. Many people don't know that Mark Zuckerberg trains MMA, and it seems like Elon trains MMA as well. However, in recent news, Threads launched the other day, and Elon is offended. So he has taken them to court. So they might not get a cage match, but they definitely want to get a court match. So today we're going to dive all into that. It's a great topic. Corporate strategy is something I love. So let's get ready to rumble. So all day today, I've been excited about this new Threads app. It just launched yesterday, I think it was, came live today. It's gotten over 30 million downloads and signups already within 24 hours. So that's like phenomenal. Some people are skeptical though. So let's lay out the case. Let's look at it from every angle. Now, the other thing we're going to look at today also is the Fed Reserve and what they talked about. Now, if you were around for yesterday's live, y'all know I promised y'all that. So today I'm here. We're going to talk about that. So we got a little extra bonus, and we're going to talk about this whole Zucks versus Musk standoff. So as we get into everything, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kamari Ellis. I'm the Finance Rebel. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. This show is all about making wealth black again. So if you are interested in business, money, stocks, taxes, we talk about it all right here. All right, so do me a favor, be sure to share this out with anybody who's interested in business and business strategy, and we'll hop right into it. So, all right, so I wanted to talk about the Fed first, right? Because we talked about that. Let me drink some of this real quick. I wanted to talk about the Fed first real quick, because there's some things coming around the horizon that I think are really important to keep your eye on. And I think it's important that, to be prepared. Now, can any of you guests that normally watch me what I'm going to say? I don't think it's that hard to predict what I'm going to say going forward. So, but as I pull this up, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. There we go. Right there. Uh-oh. My internet is not responding. Give me 1 second. Let me just reload this page. But a lot of people were, really worried about the Fed Reserve. What are they going to do with interest rates?
Markets move. That's because the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve is the most powerful economic voice in the. When Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks,
today, the FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point.
The markets move. That's because the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve is the most powerful economic voice in the nation. And Fed chairs can generally be put into 2 categories.
Hawks are more worried about controlling inflation, and doves tend to be more worried about making sure the employment market's strong.
But Powell isn't one or the other. Here's how Powell's mindset helped him rise to the top and keep the Fed united. The U.S. Federal Reserve functions as a bank for banks.
We look after the overall stability of the financial system, and we have tools to do that.
Recently, most Fed chairs have been academics or economists, so he's a little bit different from the Fed chairs that we've had in the past few decades.
He was never trained in formal economic modeling, but he's smart, and he's got a great staff, and he catches on.
After a career in investment banking and law in New York, Powell left to become an undersecretary at the Treasury.
Speaking for myself, that accounted in large measure for my own conduct at the meeting, which was to be fairly passive.
In 2012, he joined the Fed's Board of Governors to help guide the organization.
He has a fine reputation. He should be a fine member.
But his practical experience in finance gave him a different skill set.
Powell hasn't been preparing his whole life to be Fed chair. He hasn't been part of this priesthood of monetary policy theorists. And so that's brought different strengths and weaknesses for him in the job.
He watches the data, he listens to what economists and modelers say and what financial market people are saying, but not what politicians are saying.
His prioritization of data, not economic models, has meant that he's not always a hawk, economic shorthand for those who prioritize fighting inflation. And he's not always a dove, taking action to boost employment.
He's a pragmatist, he's a realist, he's not an ideologue. And so he's going to change his mind when he sees the facts on the ground changing.
And things certainly changed in March 2020.
The toll is growing by the hour. Major retailers are also going dark.
It doesn't seem fair that people should lose everything they have, including their homes, over this.
Powell's data-driven mentality was guiding the largest economic stimulus plan ever undertaken in the U.S.
At that point, the whole Federal Reserve Board, certainly including Jay Powell, are leaning very strongly in the dovish direction.
The Fed can also contribute in important ways by providing a measure of relief and stability during this period of constrained economic activity, and by using our tools to ensure that the eventual recovery is as vigorous as possible.
In his response to the emergency, Powell stretched his power farther than Fed chairs had done before.
He got after his staff. He said, we're falling behind this thing. He said, it feels like we're swimming after a speedboat. He encouraged them to really get on top of this. And they just announced a bunch of stuff this one weekend in March 2020.
He instructed the Fed to begin a torrent of bond buying programs to stabilize markets and slashed interest rates. That month, it bought Treasury and mortgage securities at a pace of nearly $75 billion a day.
The criticism on Powell has been that maybe he overreacts to the problem at the moment. So you kept interest rates too low when maybe you should have been more concerned about the risk of an inflation shock.
That risk became a reality. Fed holdings had reached $9 trillion, and inflation had hit a 40-year high.
As Americans well know, it remains painfully high.
Powell had to pivot again and tried to keep the Fed's rate-setting committee, or FOMC, voting together to get policy passed. He began acting as a hawk to bring down inflation.
But everything that economists thought they knew about inflation in 2021 turned out to be pretty wrong.
It's not going to be, we don't think, smooth. It's probably going to be bumpy.
I think at a time like this, we're very fortunate to have somebody with the temperament of Jay Powell, who listens to people, understands different points of view, distills the different pieces of information that come in to the Fed, and makes considered judgments about what to do, and then goes and persuades people that may be on one extreme or the other extreme to come into the center and go along with the consensus.
Powell kept the hawks and doves united, with only one dissenting vote against rate raises since the end of 2021.
A lot of the people I talk to say that he's very good at taking people's concerns seriously, making them feel like they're being listened to, figuring out what a reasonable compromise position might be. And that, I think, explains why he's been able to keep the committee so united during this pretty difficult stretch.
Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals.
As he confronts an uncertain economic landscape, his empirical mindset will continue to be tested.
How we look back on Powell's tenure as chair really depends on what happens with inflation and the economy over the next 2 years.
How well did he handle this uncertain period? What did the economy look like in 2024 and 2025? That history is yet to be written, and I think future historians of the Fed will judge him strongly on how that looks.
Now, I was having some technical difficulty in the background there. I was trying to stop and comment in between, but it wouldn't let me, so I apologize. But I wanted to show that because one of the goals of the Finance Rebel Show is also to help everyone raise their financial IQ, right? So we talk about the Fed this, we talk about the Fed that, but we never really get into the meat and potatoes of what the Fed does. And I thought that piece from the Wall Street Journal really illustrated that and laid it out really, really well. So I hope you all got something from that. But many people have thought, and I have shared my opinion about what the Fed should be doing. And one thing I don't think that went over there is the overall structure of the Fed Reserve, right? So there's usually 12 members of the Fed Reserve. Chairman Powell is the chairman. He oversees everything. So everything falls on him. But he's not the only one there. He does kind of have the final say. He's the face of everything. But just like any other big organization, there are other people behind him making the sauce and making things move. So, keep that in mind. Now, y'all know I've been critical of the Fed for quite some time. I feel they were super duper late in raising rates. Why is raising rates important? Right? Raising rates are important because it's a function of quote unquote monetary policy, basically triggers and tools that you use to control the economy, to either help put money into the economy or take money out of the economy. And so when interest rates go down, because they've been zero forever, they were putting money into the economy. And then when they were started to tighten rates up, they were taking money out of the economy. So when money is freely available, people tend to buy assets, real estate, stocks and bonds, things like that. When you pull money out of the economy, when you tighten or increase rates, you tend to get a little cautious, right? Because normally these are called economic cycles, taking money in and out of the economy. Because typically when you're putting money in the economy is kind of slowing down. The Fed wants to speed it up. When you're taking money out of the economy is running hot. It's a lot of inflation going on. And as many of you have seen, chicken prices have gone up, gas prices have gone up, TV prices have gone up. Everything has gone up because of inflation. So that's one of the tools that the Fed uses. I have said for a long time that the Fed was late and delayed in raising interest rates. You can see that in home prices. Home prices went through the roof, are still through the roof. And a lot of people are having a hard time buying a home. Even rent prices right now, through the roof, because people had to try to make up for this in terms of the increased cost of money. Right? A lot of people don't think about this, right? There is a cost to money. So when you borrow money, it costs money. Sometimes when you don't borrow money, it costs money as well. We'll talk about that another day. But I wanted to talk about today because the Fed also released or said that they were thinking about raising rates, but they're not. They're going to hold off in the month of June. I think we're kind of at a good place. I think, though, we could use another rate increase or two, even though it's a little late. The housing market is really in a weird space right now. A really, really weird space because even though we've got all these rate increases, we haven't really seen a decrease in housing prices. It's kind of flattened a little bit. It is slowing down. A lot of people are starting to get worried. But I would have thought they would have done a little bit more. But again, there are a lot of other factors that come into play here. But, we shall see. We shall see when the Fed gets together again and they reconvene and talk about prices and the overall state of the economy. Now, what you all wanted to talk about today, I know what I wanted to talk about today was Twitter versus Meta, aka Facebook, aka Instagram. A lot going on. So Instagram launched this new app called Threads. And many people will call it, I would call it, the Instagram version of Twitter. I like it better than Twitter, though. I have a hard time with Twitter. I don't know why. Just seems like I don't get any traction on Twitter whatsoever. Maybe my stuff isn't just good enough for Twitter, and that's cool too. But I like Threads. Now, before I forget, I also want to talk about another app that was launched as well before we get into this too deep. The name of this app is called the Spill app. And the Spill app is Twitter Noir or Black Twitter, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Now, I set up over there, but I can't get my profile picture to show up, but I thought it was interesting. We definitely need spaces, safe spaces for black and brown people to do their thing. But this is the new alternative. Twitter appeal spill the tea takes off online, right? So this came out the other day too. So we had two major launches this week for Twitter like spaces. So Twitter has been under attack this week. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they fare. Now, have any of you heard of Spill? Have any of you downloaded Spill or downloaded Threads yet? Have you checked it out? What do you think about it? Put it in the comments and let me know what you think. Now, before I get into this, I want to make sure I make it clear. The Spill app is actually a Black-owned app. So we all should be checking it out. We all should be over there to support that app. All right. So I wanted to talk about, again, Threads. Sorry, y'all. I want to talk about Threads. 30 million subscriptions in under 24 hours. Some reports said 16. Some reports said like 24 hours. Either way, that's great. Now, Facebook has the biggest footprint out of all of them, outside of kind of Google, YouTube, because that's a mix and match right there. But Facebook has the most people logging in on a daily basis. Now, I think that's pretty spectacular. And a lot of people, or a lot of this growth, I'm sure, is due to cross-platform pollination. Some people would say cross-selling, so to speak, right? That's a business term that we all should be used to. I'm sure most of y'all know what it is, right? But they got 30 million, and a lot of people like it, but a lot of people don't like it. But I wanted to look at it from the business angle. Now, as you all know, I am not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg. So now I probably am a little bit biased, just a little bit. But again, I think it's interesting, right? Because in the last week, Twitter has kind of thrown a little monkey wrench in in their platform. So they were kind of throttling or restricting what people could see. You could only see up to 600 tweets if you were not verified. And I believe it was up to 6,000. So if you saw 600 tweets, this big thing would flash across the screen saying you've run out of space and you can't look at anything else. Now, allegedly, Zuckerberg said they were doing that. Excuse me, not Zuckerberg. Elon Musk said that. I get all these white guys. All these white guys look the same. But I couldn't tell which one. Let me back up, y'all. Twitter was saying that they were throttling all of this because people were scraping their data, meaning they were pulling data off of Twitter and using it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go down the line. So a lot of people were mad about that. But if you notice, ever since Twitter has gone private, they've gone private since, I want to say 2022, in like March or April. They've gone private. Zucks took them private. He brought them out. He took a big loan. I want to say 19 billion-ish, somewhere around there. Whole lot of money. And took them private. And seems like a lot of people are not happy. A lot of people got laid off. A lot of people got fired. It seems like they're running a skeleton crew. Elon was pulling staff from Tesla and SpaceX, from off the top of my head, to help man Twitter when he did all of his crazy shenanigans over there. But a lot of people aren't happy. Many people say it's a cesspool. So, needless to say, Twitter's vulnerable. Clearly, right? We got two attacks this week. Spill, the Black-owned app, and we got the big Goliath, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, whatever you want to call it. They both launched apps this week going after Twitter. What do y'all think about that? Do y'all think that's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? Now, if you study business, like I love business, so that's why I'm so excited about this move. I mean, it's a very interesting move. And win, lose, or draw, this is going to be a very pivotal situation when it's all said and done. So this is going to be one of those times you're going to look and see, did Twitter survive this, or did Twitter stumble and fall? Or was it too many things that they did wrong that they can't recover from? So I think it's going to be interesting. Now, I've been looking at it. Many people are saying that they don't think it's going to get the traction. Some people compare it to Clubhouse. I think it's crazy to compare it to Clubhouse, but I'll come to that in a little bit too. But let's pull this up. I want to share this real quick. There we go, y'all. There we go. My tech has been kind of janky this week. Threads becomes the most rapidly downloaded app, raising Twitter's ire. Now, I've been posting about this all day long. So right now, Threads is the #1 app in the App Store, at least in the iOS or Apple App Store. That means a lot, right? Again, more than 30 million downloads. This here says 16 hours. Let me blow this up a little bit so everybody can see it. So that says 16 hours. Twitter threatened legal action. So Twitter sent a cease and desist. I mean, I get it. That's typical corporate 101 legal move, right? They're going to send a cease and desist. They're not sure, or they're saying that there's been copyright infringement and trademark infringement, patent infringement, all of the above. I saw a report from Zucks. Now, I keep confusing guys. I saw a report from Musk earlier saying that competition is great, cheating isn't. They have scraped data from Twitter all this time. So Musk, I keep confusing the Zucks and the Musk. But Musk is saying that Facebook cheats. Well, we already know they cheat. They all cheat. Especially these two guys. They're both privileged, entitled dudes. You can see that from a lot of the stuff that they've done in the past, right? But we know for a fact that Instagram took liberal license with copying Reels from TikTok. And we know Instagram again and Facebook took liberal borrowing rights per se to borrow from Snapchat with stories. Do it all the time. But guess what? Twitter did too. Twitter had their version of stories. They had their version of this video product on their platform. They had a version of an audio product on their platform that they even have now. I can't even think of what their Twitter product is. And it's funny, I do a what's called Fin Noir there every Monday with a bunch of other Black Fin educators out there. Lawrence is one of them. Matter of fact, Lawrence is in the building. But before I go further anymore, let me just speak to everybody real quick. Dorian West, I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Welcome. All right, Lawrence says, what's up? Downloaded Threads. I'm not really a fan, but I might not be the target demographic. Just seems like another app in a crowded space. I would agree. It is another app in a crowded space. Still Rocks is in the building. How you doing, brother? And got to give the horns to Lawrence and Dorian. That's for both of y'all. Hey, Diggy, I seen too many people push spills, so I was turned off. I joined Threads because of MKBHD, Marcus Brownlee. I know that's what he's talking about. I always say his name wrong. He's the super popular black tech dude. He's got 15 million YouTube subscribers, something like that. Posted it, it was live, and I was waiting for Threads. All right, but we got to give Spill some love too, right? I mean, we can't not give Spill no love. Just a little bit, right? All right, Lawrence says the real question for me is how these apps affect productivity. A lot of people are watching their lives scroll by figuratively. Yeah, they are. They are, but I think a lot of people have been turned off by the whole Twitter experience, by a lot of the people on there saying nigger and all the white supremacists being on there, no monitoring, no policing. I know Twitter is supposed to be the quote unquote town hall, which to me is code words for just say whatever you want and be abrasive and nasty. And that's the label that Twitter has now. I don't know. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all disagree with that? Throw it in the chat. I would agree with that. I agree with that. I think Twitter can be a very, very toxic place. And matter of fact, I saw Jim Cramer say Twitter is a cesspool. So it's not just me. Right? There's other people that are saying that. But, you know, it can be really, really interesting. But with doing all of this, I said, let me go do some research. I like to get to the data because you don't just want to be swept away by the moment. Now, I think this is, again, very, very interesting from a corporate strategy standpoint. There is a lot of stalling, missteps, bad moves, bad behaviors by Elon Musk. He's the king of rallying up the circus. He was the one who actually challenged Mark Zuckerberg to the cage match, which I find hilarious. And again, another publicity stunt. You know, Musk is good for those, from Doge to Bitcoin. I'm still waiting for Doge to get to the moon. I don't think it ever left the earth, but that's a whole other conversation. But I wanted to go through some of the things that I found. I went through some of the reports, some of the financial reports, and I thought it was interesting, right? And it will show some of the things that I believe went into the sauce when Meta, when Meta made their play and created Threads. And so here's just another article by the Wall Street Journal. Meta Threads app sees early success drawing advertising interest. Advertisements, right? So let's be clear. This is all about advertising dollars, right? That's the model. The model for social media, it's free, right? They give you free content. Sometimes they appeal to some of the content creators and celebrities to come on these platforms and juice them up, give them some credibility. They get eyeballs on them. The eyeballs then say, you know what? The money goes where the eyeballs flow. So anytime money, attention is somewhere, advertising will always be in play. Always. There's always a way, or always has to be a way to monetize a thing. Gotta make money, right? Gotta keep the lights on. Gotta pay those engineers. Gotta pay that rent for those offices. Gotta pay the rent for the computer storage that they have. Money's going to be in play somehow, some way. That's every business. So again, I thought this was interesting. Meta takes break. Meta takes on Twitter. Let's see. No, I'm not showing it. Sorry.
Meta is launching Threads because it's a good opportunity to release a product like this. Twitter has had a number of issues since Elon Musk took ownership of that social network in October. And for Meta, it's a way to give users more stuff to do. And eventually it would be one more way for them to show advertisements to people.
Now, for some reason, I'm not sure why, I have not been able to stop this thing. It won't pause. I'm not sure why, but it's all good. But you heard them. That's from the Wall Street Journal. It's about advertising. It's always about advertising, right? So There we go. It's about advertisement. So who can win the battle of advertisement? So when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, how much was Twitter really making? What's really at stake here? So I did a little bit of research, pulled a little bit of reports, and I want to go down and look at some of those real quick right now. Here we go. Oops. There we go. All right, so as we pull these up, all right, I lost my spot on here. Give me 1 second, I'll pull that up real quick. But when I went and looked through all these, I was mildly interested at what Twitter has done. Now, I can only look at what they did in the past. And so what I did was I went to their last, or one of their last financial reports. And when I went to their last financial reports, I got a little bit of data. I encourage all of you who are looking to invest to go to the financial report of any company. By the way, this is not an investment recommendation. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
It's only entertainment.
All right, it's only entertainment. Y'all don't forget that. But here I highlighted, this is what Twitter was making upon their last public record showing. Now, remember, they were taken private in, let me see what my notes say, April 25th of 2022. So here is the last year, final year, 2020. And they did roughly $3.2 billion in ad revenue. Just revenue, not net, just revenue, right? The top line, all the money they made from it. This is not net. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, in 2021, they made 2.9. So 2020 was an interesting year because of COVID. And COVID pushed up a lot of the numbers in terms of advertising because everybody was home. Everybody was on social. And so it was the right time for advertisers to run advertising, sell their stuff. More eyeballs were there. Remember, money goes where eyeballs flow. Money flows where eyeballs go. Right? So you can see this. And just going back to it, there was this whole trend. So in 20, let me blow this up. Too much. All right, there we go. Try to get on the screen. Can everybody see that? All right, so in 2020, we had 3.2. In 2019, we had 2.9. In 2018, we had 2.6. So there was an upward trajectory of income going into Twitter. Then boom, Elon comes in. He's like a China in a bull shop. He starts running all around, breaking things, kicking people out, and doing what Elon likes to do best. By the way, I think it's very interesting that both of these guys, Musk and Zucks, have kind of stole or appropriated everything they quote unquote built, but that's another conversation for another day. But again, they were making money. Then Zuck comes in, takes it over. It's already been known that a lot of advertisement revenue was lost. Why? Because of the quote unquote incessant nature of Twitter. A lot of advertisers lost. And so what we have here is a little bit of a vacuum. This is what I believe. Zucks and Masri, because that's the guy who runs Instagram, are like, wow, there's a bit of a vacuum here because people don't want to go to Twitter and spend their money because a lot of their constituents don't like what they see when they go on the platform. It doesn't feel good. It's not ample for selling. Hey, there's this tech disrupt where they're only limiting people to see roughly 600 tweets or 6,000 if you're verified. This might be a ripe opportunity to launch our own product that competes directly with Twitter. So, hey, there's 3 billion. So I would say, right, if we look at this, let's average it out because we can't go by the top number. Top number was 3.2. So somewhere between 3.2 billion with a B, 3.2 billion with the B, and 2.6 billion. So let's just give it 2 billion. Let's just say there, right? There's 2 to 3 billion at play there in potential advertisement. Now, mind you, that's what they were getting anyway. I mean, by themselves. Facebook was getting their own pot of money. So again, Facebook, Instagram, I keep saying it, Instagram, Facebook or Meta and Twitter were already getting this. If you ever get a chance, look up TAM, total addressable market. Like when you look at the total market of available dollars, there's billions and billions and billions out there. Now, when I pull up the Facebook numbers, you'll be like, wow, there's a lot of money out there, right? But they're like, let's get it. Let's get it all. Let's not leave any stone unturned. I want it all. Now, I don't know if y'all notice, I'm a big fan of New York. I'm a fan of the movie of King of New York. And there's a scene in there when a guy comes home from jail. And if any of you are Biggie Small fans or ever heard him say Frank White, he's talking about this character and the King of New York. And he notoriously says, if there's a nickel bag sold in the park, I want in. And so I believe that Zucks is like, if there's a nickel bag sold on Twitter, I want in. I want it all. I don't want to just go with this little piece here. Here's a problem with the product. We can make it better. We can do the community better. And this is allegedly, y'all, potentially. I'm putting my mind in the side of the mind of Zucks. And we can make money off of it at the end of the day. This is great for shareholder value. So, you know, I think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting. Now, when you look at it, right, Zucks took over in 2022. Twitter had revenue. They had ad revenue of $2 to $3 billion. Now, when I pull up Facebook, I'm gonna pull that up now. Let me see. Pull up Facebook now. It's a totally different story. Totally different story. Now, this is Facebook. Now I'm gonna go to page 1. Again, this is the annual report. Just so y'all know, this is the 10K, the annual report for Facebook. This is their last annual report filed with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. So keep that in mind. That's the source. Now, remember I talked to y'all these last couple of weeks about getting your sources. Most of these platforms on social sources suck. I'm still trying to figure out where Tyler Perry is at with the buy of BET because nobody brought it or nobody ran the story with that. But on social, everybody was like, congratulations to Tyler Perry for buying BET. What's their source? What's their source? So, all right, this is the source. This is the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. This is the holy grail for all things security and stock and investments in the United States. All right, let's go back. So we're looking at advertisement revenue. Now, before we get to this, is anybody interested in know how much money Meta, aka Facebook, made? These guys are like a printing press. They are not at a loss of revenue at all. So when we look at this, did I go past it? I might have went past it. Because here they're talking about daily active people. I think I went by it. Normally I like to mark these up and highlight them, but this wouldn't allow me to do it. Let's see here. Give me one more second. One more second. There we go. I went by it. Sorry, y'all. So Facebook made roughly $117 billion at the end of 2022. That ain't no little bit of change. That's not a little bit of change at all. Now that's revenue, top line. Everything they made, advertisements, games, apps, any other ways that they make money. And then also just keep in mind, also I'm going a little bit too fast, right? The previous year they made 118, I'm rounding up, y'all, they made 118 billion. And the year before that, they made roughly $86 billion. So keep that in mind. So things have slowed down a little bit from 21 to 22, but they're still doing great. But investors don't like slowdowns, even though they had a big jump from 2020, which was COVID, to 2021. And I'm sure a lot of that was related to COVID. Now, what did they make? $113 billion. So the majority of their money is advertising. 113 billion. Top line revenue was 116 billion. What percentage of that is their revenue? Probably like 95% or something like that. So 95, I don't know. Can somebody do the math for me real quick? You know what? I'll do it. I got it right here. You just take 113, divide by 116, and you'll get the percentage. So we'll just do 113 divided by 116. So that's 97.4%. So 97.4% of Facebook's revenue is from advertising. A lot of us already knew that, right? But I think it's good to actually see the figure, right? Because then I believe you can put it in perspective a little bit more, a little bit better. I think an extra $2 to $3 billion going after that makes a difference. That's another 2 to 3% potential on top of it. And guess what? That's pure profit. They didn't have to do a whole lot to do threads. Their engineers are already on staff. That's what's called a sunk cost. They're already doing advertising to bring in corporate sponsors and corporate ads. They already have a sales team already moving on all this stuff. Again, that is sunk costs. Didn't cost them much to engineer threads. It's basically text. I bet a lot of it is probably already been created on Facebook and Instagram already. And they were able to rejigger and reconfigure a few things. I bet they probably did it relatively quickly, probably in the last 90 to 30 days. That's my guess. So $113 billion from ads. Twitter did roughly $3 billion. We also saw yesterday Facebook stock jumped by about $3. Today it dropped by about $3, but overall, I think this will probably be a net positive for the company overall. Now, when we go back to this, when we go back to looking at these figures, I believe the story is here, in my opinion. Low cost of creation of this new product. It's already, doesn't take much for them to sell. And there's more money out there. Now, somebody said that don't get too excited about this. This could be like Google Plus when they first pushed out, or this could be like Clubhouse. Now, I think that's a terrible comparison to bringing Clubhouse. You can kind of talk about Google Plus, right? Because it's Google versus Facebook or Google versus Meta. $2 billion, damn near $1 trillion firms. Clubhouse never really made any money. I don't think they ever had a clue. I don't think Clubhouse ever understood their business model. So Clubhouse isn't even a factor, but people are talking about how of a big response and how excited everybody was when Clubhouse hit the market. And there was a lot of excitement. It was also during the pandemic, right? So when you keep it in mind, during the pandemic, when I would go live, I would have 3 to 4 times the amount of people that are here now in the room with us, right? But people still watch, but everybody was inside. So it's different now when everybody's outside, everybody's running around, everybody's frolicking and having fun. So it's a little bit different, a little bit different. But I don't know. I think people just don't like to say it could be a change. Something new is coming. People don't like it. People don't like it, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm laughing at a Twitter feed of somebody I want to show, because somebody also said that Mr. Beast, excuse me, I gave it away. Somebody said that nobody is coming to the platform yet. Nobody big is coming to the platform yet. And so somebody just talked about Marcus Brownlee being on a platform. I want to show this real quick. Right. Here is Mr. Beast. Right. That's Mr. Beast with the big thread on his card. Now, if y'all don't know who Mr. Beast is, Mr. Beast right now is probably the most popular human being on the planet. His YouTube channels, he has several, total about 400 million subscribers. That might be more than Michael Jackson had album sales at the height of his career. Definitely more than what Elvis had. So there's a lot of people who know who Mr. Beast is. And he's out here with the thread on his card. Now, this is what I will say. I noticed was what he did. I'm not sure which platform this is, but I wonder if that was Photoshopped. But again, I would say it's Mr. Beast because it's on Mr. Beast's page. But when I go over to Twitter, I don't see it. Because I was thinking that would be the ultimate form of disrespect. It might be on his Twitter, on his Threads page. So let me see if it's over on his Threads page. But what do y'all think? To me, it looks like a case of big bank take little bank. Twitter doesn't have the firepower, even if they go to court, to contest this. They already have a dying fan base, so to speak. Yes, Twitter is news. Everybody knows about that. But how quickly can that shift? I think a lot of that can shift relatively quickly. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear what you think. Your thoughts are. Do you think Twitter has a chance? Do you think they'll be able to stay and compete? You think Threads has the shot there? What do y'all think? Would love to hear what you have to say. So while we're waiting, let me get back to some of these. Still Rocks is in the building. All right, I think I gave you the ones before, but I'm giving it to you again. All right, and Lawrence says the real question for me is how will these apps affect productivity? Oh, I answered. We talked about this already. Productivity isn't the main goal, though. Nobody cares about productivity. You personally might care about productivity. Your average person is there to engage and share their thoughts. Now, a lot of people use these platforms to make money. Nothing wrong with that. So, you have to factor that in. But most people are your casual fan, casual tweeter, casual threader, right? I don't know that everybody is there trying to be an active force or build a brand on these platforms. Because if that was the case, none of these platforms would throttle or bring down anybody's reach. I talked to my son, right? My son has a business. He's a mobile detailer and he loves to put stuff on IG. And I do too, right? But he'll put like his whole schedule up there. And I said, they're only letting people see about 6%, 5 to 10% of your quote unquote following. got to make you pay for ads. They got to make you want to be on this platform. They got to get something from it, right? It's free. It's free, so they got to do something. So let me see. I'm gonna pull this up and see if I could find Mr. Beast, because to me, that's major. But there's already a lot of people on here. Again, it's still new. Again, money flows where the eyeballs go. So I'm looking at this now. I'm on my threads. The sad part about all of this. Yep, he did it. This is him. It's definitely him. The sad part about all of this, though, in my opinion, is that all the scammers are going to be coming along soon, too. I'm already seeing some of them come along. So while it's kind of clean and it's kind of pure for now, it ain't going to be that way. So sadly, a lot of the same shenanigans will be that we've seen on Instagram, that we've seen on Facebook, that we've seen on Twitter, will definitely be seen on Threads. But again, what do y'all think? Is it too soon? Is it premature? Are we not able to really make a prediction? My prediction. Let me tell y'all what my prediction is. I want to share this with y'all now, though. Tell you what my prediction is. So I found the Mr. Beast. Right, so that indeed is him. That's Threads right there. My prediction is they got 30 million now. I believe Mr. Beast is going to bring in some awareness. Somebody said Marcus Brownlee is supporting as well, or has come over well. Some of the biggest YouTubers in the world. YouTube dominates a lot of eyeballs. I predict, oh, by the way, Marcus Brownlee said he thinks they're going to get 100 million signups in 2 weeks. I think at the rate that they're going, and they're drafting from their other subscribership, which is in the billions. I think they get 200 million subscribers in 10 days to 2 weeks. That's my prediction. All right, so K. Diggy says Twitter's biggest problem was them not wanting to get rid of bots. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of other things, right? I think like basic things. Why can't you edit a tweet on there without paying somebody? You can do that on other platforms. You mean to tell me you can't do that on a text-based platform? I mean, I know there's GIFs and pictures, but you mean to tell me that Twitter doesn't have the ingenuity to do that? Now, Elon first said he wanted to do that, and then supposedly it was put in the whole Twitter Blue thing. And I even paid for Twitter Blue for a minute, but you can only edit after an hour. For an hour. You can only get 60 minutes when you edit. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes my autocorrect just gets busy and makes me look stupid, makes me look like I never took a grammar class. My grandmother would probably smack me upside my head because she was an English teacher. And it looks like I am a bumbling idiot sometimes. I don't always notice that, and I want to go back and change it, but I only have 60 minutes to change it. That don't seem right to me. Whoever rolled that out didn't really think that through. So, I don't know, but that's my prediction. 200 downloads, 200 signups in the next 10 days, 10 to 14 days. That's my prediction. What do you think? Now, think I'm off? Think I'm crazy? Think I'm bugging? Those are my predictions. And I think Twitter loses this fight. I think Facebook, Meta, Instagram wins this fight. They just have more muscle power. They already have infrastructure for advertising. They've already got a sales force. They've already got corporate contacts already lined up. So when you compare this to a Clubhouse, They didn't have a sales team already organized. They didn't have an advertising infrastructure set up. They didn't already have corporate relationships. Because now this just becomes a cross sell. So every major corporation that's on Facebook, on Instagram, guess what? They got a new add-on package to be sold. It's called Threads. So that's another easy 3 billion or more, 2 to 3 billion or more that IG, Meta, and Facebook will be able to sop up. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about money. I mean, I could really care if Musk and Zucks square off in a ring. I know some people care about that. I'm looking for the jewels here. I'm looking for the higher level corporate strategy. Maybe one day I'll be able to extrapolate and use some of it for me or some of my clients, right? What happens if, I don't know, people are still, a lot of the accounting industry is getting assaulted right now, right? There's a shortage of accountants. What happens if I say, well, you know what? There's a shortage of accountants. Maybe if I want to grow my business, make more money, I could start buying other accounting firms who are either exhausted or are aging out. They want to retire. Sometimes they might get sick. Let's say they get sick. I hear about it. I'm able to use that to my advantage. Now, I'm not talking about doing anything untoward or getting over on anybody, but you're not going to be able to demand the same level of pricing if you're sick versus if you're young and vibrant and healthy. It's just not the way the world works. So, but I wanted to do this real quick too. Oops. I wanted to pull up what has Facebook stock been looking like. We can't look at Twitter, right? Twitter's a private company now. Any reason why y'all think Twitter went private? What do y'all think about that? But when you look at it, Facebook stock hasn't been bad. When you look here, just let me go to year to date. Year to date, they're up 134%. It's not bad. When we just look over the last 5 days, right? This is a holiday week, but it's been up 2.6, roughly 3%. Not bad. Not bad at all. We saw the money they made. Now, did I mention the profit? I think I might have skipped over the profit. Dang it. 116, 120, what is it? I got it written down here. $116 billion in revenue, top line. 23 billion in profits, net profits, right? So that's the money they get to keep and they get to put in their pockets. And the stock's on fire. So the stock's on fire. They got plenty of dry powder, aka cash, sitting in the bank, ready to be deployed to do some things. I think Facebook prevails. I think there's enough people on Facebook and on Instagram to make Threads a nice additional selling package to corporate advertisers. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about, advertising. So again, I would love to hear what you have to say about this, what you think about this. Will Threads win? Will Twitter win? Now, with that said, I don't think Twitter is going away anytime soon. But I do think the writing is on the walls. Don't sleep on them. Or should I say, don't wait on them. But that's all I have today, y'all. Facebook, Meta versus Twitter. Elon versus Zucks. Who's the winner? But at the end of the day, like I said, could be a good investment, but
it's only entertainment.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Make sure you do your research. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. So what happened in the past doesn't always mean that it's going to happen in the future. But it would make sense to understand the whole history of a company, understand how they make money, when they make money. Because guess what? Twitter and Facebook typically make the most amounts of money in the fourth quarter. What happens in the fourth quarter? Holiday season, right? So keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in mind. But again, in the comments, let me know what you think. Would you potentially think about investing in Facebook? Put it in the chat. Until the next time, I'll see y'all later. Have a great night. Remember, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, the Finance Rebel Show will be here. So long.